Hey, good morning. Good morning. Welcome to the E-Carrier Check Show. I'm excited to get going. We got Matt on with Popcapacity. We've got some exciting stuff to talk about today. But before we dive into Matt, I really want to break it down with Nate. Nate, you obviously, really are a big component of running E-Carrier Check. I want to talk about your week. What'd you learn? How was your week? What were some good questions that you got into?
Yeah, I learned a lot this week. Demo's been off the chain. I like to put it. It's been great. You know, I've really been. What's been at the top of my head is dispatchers reaching out to brokers. So that's kind of been the big topic for e-carry check this week, or this week, anyways.
Yeah.
But it's been a good week. Definitely learning and growing each and every day,
Yeah.
whether it's just e-carry check or with our subscribers, and we're growing new relationships. Hence why Matt's here today. So it's awesome.
I love the story here. We had one of our clients reach out and say, "Hey, I've got some warehouse situation, going on." And, we reach out to Chris Jolly. Chris is like, "You got to talk to Popcapacity. Matt's the best." And so I can't wait to talk to Matt. He's got so much industry knowledge, so much just charisma. I love what's going on there. But Nate, real quick, obviously you're wearing the pink shirt today. October's a big month. Breast cancer awareness is a big deal to us. We had a family member in our family that I call it a work family, but that dealt with breast cancer, right? So talk about real quick what we're doing, how we're doing it, and where our subscribers' monies are going this month.
Yeah, definitely. Huge this month. We're big fans of giving back, especially to our local community and to people that support our channel and just everything we do. So this month we're giving a part of our subscriptions of this month back to a nonprofit organization here in our community. And it's great. We're very blessed to be able to do this.
Yeah, we did this last year too. We worked with a company called Festival of Hope.
Yeah.
And what they do is they help their families that are the women that are going through it. They help their families with either hotels, with costs coming up to our local community. Obviously, we're in rural Nebraska, so some of the medical, options are limited. And so we like to give back and help where we can. I think that's a big deal in our world. So, but Matt, it's all about you today. I'm super jacked to have you on, man. Matt, thank you for being on. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, man. Thank you, dude. I'm excited to be on.
Hey, Matt, give us a background on you. You come with just an amazing background. You started a trucking company. You've been with a brokerage or a logistics company, and some big names too. Blue Grace is big. There's some big things that have happened in your background. So give us a rundown of the 30,000-foot view of where Matt's been, if you will.
Yeah. So, I cut my teeth in the 3PL brokerage world. So, I started a franchise with Blue Grace Logistics, as you just mentioned. Had some really good success there, sold it back to them, started a trucking company to try to conquer the on-time delivery and, delays in the world of trucking. And it's challenging, right? I had kids and it's just on the road, you're dispatching, you're doing a lot of different things. And then we had this opportunity to procure warehouse space for a really large tech company. And that's when kind of the idea of Popcapacity came about, right? If you naturally think of how do you search something, like my daughter says, search it up. How do you search something up, right? You go to Google it, right? Unfortunately, when you're looking for warehouse capacity, what you Google is not necessarily the solution you're looking for. So that's kind of where we started. So yeah, every walk of life, from brokering trucks to driving those trucks, to bootstrapping a tech company in a pandemic. It's been an adventure, to say the least.
I can imagine. And now you bootstrapped Popcapacity here. How many employees do you guys have, and how do you connect people with warehouses in that world? Because I tell you what, you're right. Honestly, as a freight broker, I came from the freight broker world. If I needed a place to put a load for a week, a day, a month, you just Googled. You're like, I got to search it up. I love your daughter's technology there. I got to search it up. Warehouses in Denver, right? Or warehouses in Bozeman, Montana. And you're just kind of stuck with whoever you're talking with on the phone. Right. It's just not the best solution. So obviously you're really taking that. I don't know. There's a lot of friction with trying to find warehousing, in my opinion. So now, how do you eliminated that friction, if you will?
Well, as far as a team, like, we've got a really badass team, right? We've got a lean, amazing group of guys that just, I'll put our team against any supply chain team out there right now. and we've automated our processes. So, but in regards to digitize, like what we're doing as far as warehousing procurement, right? We've just digitized that process. If you look at what we do in our everyday lives, from hamburger houses to luxury cars to boat rentals to anything and everything is literally at our fingertips. We could pull up our phone, we could pull up our computer, and we could find something through a digital environment. That did not exist before Popcapacity was created.
Right.
It was a Google search. And then after the Google search, it was a phone call, a series of phone calls, asking the same exact questions every single time. How big is your space? How much is that available? What's your clear high? How many dock doors do you have? How big is your truck yard, right? Things that are very redundant. Our 3PL operators have better uses of time versus re-explaining what their warehouse does and what they're capable of 50 times a day, right? It just didn't make any sense. So we did that by creating a marketplace, right? Just a everyday marketplace that just incorporates the elements of warehousing, right? I think the evolution of things, you'll see us incorporate a little bit more than just warehousing. But right now we're incorporating the key fundamentals of what a warehouse operator would need to know and what a shipper would need to find, and just blending that together in a marketplace.
Yeah. Honestly, like I feel like warehousing is a lot like trucking. It's very old school, not a lot of technology around it. A lot of individual, owners of, this guy owns Denver, and there's obviously some corporate giants, but there is in the trucking industry too.
Yep.
How have you been able to connect with some of those mom and pa, warehouses in the space that are out there, or at least explain to them what you're doing to manage change management in those aspects?
Well, that was old school, right? That was manual. So we basically did all the manual processing and put it into a digital environment so other people didn't have to. So, we coming from the brokerage world and, just having a lot of good relationships in supply chain, we were able to find, our inner group. But in order to expand for 18 months, we were just pounding phones, letting people know, asking them questions about, if you were to digitally showcase your space, what would you want to show? What kind of opportunities would you want to receive? I mean, I guess the number one question is, what are you doing now to get your warehouse in front of larger enterprises? These mom and pops, just like mom and pop truck drivers, right? Owner operators, they're very rarely engaging with a Coca-Cola direct.
Right.
It came through a broker. In the logistics world, broker makes a ton of sense. It does. But in the warehousing world, unfortunately, there's some elements that you have to understand, but I don't think you need a broker necessarily to find that out. The inner nuances, yeah, for sure. But that discovery phase, no, I don't think so.
I can't even imagine. Obviously, you're really in kind of a tight, situation where you're in the ground roots of warehousing. The last 18 months have been probably just off the wall, kind of weird, right? No different than trucking. Warehousing has probably been a train wreck with inventory levels going in and up and down and left and right. What have you seen as far as trends so far this year in 2022, where it's been kind of weird?
It's kind of an extension. I mean, it's from mid 2020 all the way into now. Capacity's been really, really tight, right? I mean, we're hearing from commercial real estate friends that there's stuff under development. I think in Q1 we'll see things loosen up a little bit.
Okay.
I mean, previous announcement like Amazon putting 10 million square foot back into the market, right? That raised an eyebrow for us. I mean, there's a really large influx of capacity coming in. A, let's get it in a marketplace, Amazon. B, what is that going to do to the environment, right? We've seen really high rates, just capacity tightens, just like in trucking. Capacity tightens, rates get higher. Capacity loosens, rates loosen up. So the capacity tightened, rates got higher. But if you look at the commercial real estate view, right? CBRE, JLL, the big real estate companies that we're at a capacity crunch, there's negative capacity in major markets, which is truth in a long-term leasing perspective, in a commercial real estate perspective. But when CJ Logistics goes and leases out 1 million square foot in DFW market, in JLL's eyes or in the commercial real estate eyes, that capacity is off market. It's done, right? but there's still 600,000 square foot of that million sitting available through a 3PL warehouse. That's the type of stuff we want to capture. That's the type of information we want to put out to the market. It's not all doom and gloom, right? We want to bring some positive energy to it. Like when everybody says there's no space, like, I beg to differ.
Yeah. I can imagine, at least with your connectivity, you probably see, everyone's dealing with all these huge warehouses. When it comes down to what you guys are doing, you see where there are gaps and holes, that could be filled pretty quickly. How do you, as a company, obviously you're going out to shippers and potentially selling warehouse space for them, or you're going out to brokers and doing the same thing. How do you connect that with going, hey, I see your supply chain. You're obviously doing some big analysis or big data dives to go, hey, it would make sense to have a warehouse in Atlanta right now based upon the freight that you have. Yeah. How do you go about that? I mean, do you have some data scientist guys that are working for you, or what seems to be the engineering?
Yeah, we've got a few data scientists that basically dissect the data that we're receiving, right? The elements of a scope of work and the profile of a warehouse, and then placing that into markets. We obviously have rates tied behind all that as well. So it's more of an enterprise service. So any shipper or supplier that, is really engaged in our marketplace or needs that enterprise level style service, right? We call it a poptimization study. If they need that,
I love that.
Yeah, that's pretty good, right? So we go through that, but that's more internal. Fast forward 3-4 months from now, I think you'll see that being more external, so that people can start seeing us less of a marketplace, which is amazing, right? We love the fact that we were the first marketplace for warehousing, right? True marketplace, but like kind of breaking out of that shell and emerging into like an intelligent procurement platform for anything type of capacity. With our warehouses, yes, they have warehouse space, they have racks, they have dock doors, they have truck yards. That's awesome. But they also have 53-foot dry vans or 26-foot box trucks with lift gates or passenger vehicles or cargo vans or whatever. There's other types of capacity tied to that. There's a tech stack tied to them. What APIs they have built out? Like how are they integratable? You'll start seeing the evolution of POP be more towards all things encompassing capacity on a prescriptive basis, right?
I love that. That's honestly, at the end of the day, coming from another company that's bootstrapped, that's some mean value. Like, I mean, you're just taking value up just another notch. You know what I mean? And I love that. Anytime you can provide just a better solution all around, man, that's good.
Yeah.
So
I tell people all the time, like our success has really accelerated when we obviously want to make money. Everybody wants to make money. I mean, that's what we're in it for. But when we change the direction of like only making money to creating a change in our industry, right? We just want to break some bad habits and eliminate some unnecessary friction points by using technology. And that does require people making some changes. Stop going on Google to find, you don't go on Google to find a truck, right? I mean, you just don't do it. So why would you go on Google to find anything else? You don't do it for any other aspect of your life other than like random Wikipedia type information, right? If you want a car, you go to a marketplace. You want a house, you go to a marketplace. You want food, you go to a marketplace, right? It's natural, but it's not natural in this industry, unfortunately.
Yeah. So. Do you see that a lot of warehouse, obviously, like here's an example in the trucking spaces, ELD took a while to really come to play here, right? I mean, it took, the FMCSA was kind enough to say you got 7 years to get there. How is the technology with those smaller warehouses? Do you give them technology? How do you integrate with those warehouses that are just, they don't really have some of that technology you're talking about?
Well, I think most of them have a little bit of technology. Very few of them are running off like spreadsheets and shared drives anymore, right? They have something. And the ones who have like invested into technology, we let people know that within their profile, right? What kind of WMS they operated in, what kind of TMS did they operate in, what are some key API integrations that they have into major ERPs. And we're doing that in select markets now, right? We can create this network distribution model by really just understanding the DNA of that, the technical DNA of that warehouse. So I mean, that's more or less how that works, right? Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Hey, when it comes to, I have a buddy that's into everything is about food. It's about produce. It's really about, you know, how he does a lot of different things in the food space. And he's always looking for warehouse space specifically to food product and those things. As you go into 2023, obviously, things will be, who knows what to think about with 2023. But I do think things will lighten up. We can't really control what does happen, really, to be honest with you. We can just control what we do. But when it comes to food and warehousing, do you see any kind of shifts with like, lumpers, or do you see any shifts with how, things will be changed with food specifically in as we go into the future?
Yeah, I mean, you look at some of, well, I guess you can use like the Go Puff and the Jokers of the world, like taking that seesaw delivery model, like 45 minutes or it's free model.
Yeah.
Um, I think the fulfillment model will hit major areas where you're trying to get food distributed on a localized basis. Um, I don't know how it's going to affect. Like, we haven't seen an uptick in food grade asks, right?
Okay.
We have seen an increase in like smaller cold chain, which I'm assuming is going to be for that micro fulfillment
Yeah.
application. Um, I don't know. These ghost kitchens are popping up everywhere,
Yeah.
right? So
Crazy.
it's like, I don't know. They have to get that supply from somewhere, and these ghost kitchens, just by nature, are small and shared and don't have a stock room or a cooler full of stuff, right? So it has to get distributed localized. I imagine within the next, you know, year or so, we'll start seeing that be more of a standard thing, like smaller cooled areas in more urban environments where the population is denser, for those same day type distributing, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think everything's going to change. I mean, if you didn't think it was going to happen, if you didn't think it was going to be delivered to your door, well, reimagine that, because it probably can be.
It's gonna be, especially in those bigger cities. I gotta say, those ghost kitchens are like my kid's favorite. We had a Mr. Beast burger about 2 weeks ago. They're actually pretty legit. Our local Perkins actually makes it, which was kind of weird, I thought. But I'm a big fan of the ghost kitchens. Let's just get it going. You know what I mean?
That whole model, right? And Mr. Beast, the brand itself, really, I mean, ingenious. I think he stood up 135 restaurants during the pandemic. And,
Right?
and like our Mr. Beast burgers are Red Robin, right?
No
So
kidding.
yeah, I think the philosophy is they send a menu, they send the ingredients to make the food, and then they pay commission to the person who makes it. They're already, I mean, it's like a shared kitchen. It's the Uber of kitchens, right? It's pretty cool.
It is cool. I love how it's insane. You got to think, like you said, things just change. Things adopt real quickly, and all of a sudden you've got ghost kitchens just popping up out of nowhere, and you've got a huge brand, and I love that. Um, Matt, a couple other questions specific around, 2023. Obviously we don't have a crystal ball, but as far as what pop capacity is going to offer into next year, I'm not necessarily looking for what the capacity is going to do with warehousing. We all kind of know where we're going, but what's pop capacity look like in 2023? A year from now, where do you look like? How many employees do you have? What are the new services? You talked about some of the cool value add stuff, but what's reality in about 12 months from now?
I mean, for us internally, we're beefing up our development staff so we can make a more robust product, right? We want to evolve into being the most insightful resource when you think of all things capacity related, which is going to require some really badass developers and lots of them.
Yeah.
So we'll see our headcount grow there. We're going to continue automating our internal processes so we don't necessarily have to have, dozens of sales folks out there cold calling shippers asking if they need warehouse space.
Right.
Um, my hope and dream is at the end of 23, when we're opening our Christmas boxes up, that the natural way to procure warehousing space is through a marketplace, through the Pop Capacity marketplace, because it just makes sense.
Yeah.
So our effort right now is getting any and every warehouse big or small, right? I think we've initially focused more on the regional guys because they're amazing, right? They do really good, great work. They're agile, they're dynamic, they can grow, and they do it in a less, I don't know, rigid fashion.
Yep.
But our bigger 3PLs are, I think they're seeing that they need to be nimble too, to be able to compete and scale and bring on some of these emerging brands. So, a lot's going to change, but if I were to dream and hope of anything, it'd be we're the industry standard for sourcing and procurement of warehouse space, and we're the most insightful tool when you think about all things capacity. So
I love that.
it's hairy, it's audacious, but that's an entrepreneur, right? We gotta
Yeah.
do it that way. So.
You just kind of grind with it, right? I kind of want to switch gears to leadership for just a second because I think this is an interesting subject. Obviously you've had a lot of employees. You're trying to add more employees over the course of this, the next 12 months here. What seems to be the best leadership style for you when it comes to relating to your employees, or finding top tier? You mentioned earlier, I'd put my team up against anybody. I tend to agree. E-Carrier Check's got an incredible team around us. Our programmer used to friggin' program in Russia at like these crazy competitions, and he's just like this crazy, like, let's see how much Red Bull we can get in us and try to program 5,000 lines. But how does leadership fall into your growth, and how are you relating to people, and even from a leadership standpoint of the warehouses you're building relationships with? What seems to be the kind of the number one skill that you're needing in order to be that? Can you hear me?
No, that's me telling you the answer. No, it's listening, man. It's all about listening and understanding what people need, and what they're asking for, right? So on the warehousing side, we're asking what kind of opportunities are you looking for, whether it be temp controlled, food grade, pallet in, pallet out, fulfillment, whatever it may be. But like from an employee standpoint and just from general leadership, it's like just listening and like truly listening, understanding that there's never going to be a perfect world of business. There's always going to be some really crazy initiatives that are seem crazy at the time, but as long as we're open and listening, I think we can all achieve that same goal, right? Follow that same North Star, even though we have a different way of going about it. If we listen and communicate, we can assure that we're doing it. That's my main thing. And accountability, man. When you're at accountability and resourcefulness, I'm gonna say are definitely the next two, right? And that goes all the way up the board. I don't care if you're a CEO or a stinking business development rep. You got to be accountable and you have to be resourceful. When you're small of a team like this, everybody has to be accountable for what they're doing and what their role is, and then resourceful in the event that they don't have it. Because the answer is not always in a playbook, right? Yeah. Sometimes the answer involves just being creative or using resources that we have at our fingertips. So,
yeah, absolutely.
Those would be my three.
I love it. That's a good three, man. I think, I look at what you said, and just, the listening thing is such a big component. I think just being empathetic and understanding their situation. It's interesting having employees and relating to them. In some particular cases, I don't relate to our programmer. In some cases, I do. You know what I mean? And so, trying to find that common ground and being empathetic to their situation, whatever that may be. So
that's right. It's just being open, right? I think when you hire someone, you hire them for a reason. You see something in them that made them appeal to you in the business, right? And as a leader, it's your job to always keep finding what makes them happy and what makes them give the most to the business itself, right? And it could be for the person too, but like from a leadership standpoint, it's always going to be about the business, right? But it's making them feel good about what we're doing and showing them how impactful they are.
Yeah. How do you find, with your strategy of growing so quickly in 2023, are these people working at your office? Are they working at home? What seems to be the strategy that you guys use as far as adding those people?
We're remote right now. We're all virtual for the most part. We have a huddle spot here in Atlanta that we come to a few times a month. Leading up to the holidays, we're actually in there a little bit more. But as we scale and grow and start bringing more heads on, we'll start having a larger huddle spot, maybe more huddle spots across the nation. I don't know where that direction goes, but it really depends on which site developers. They can be anywhere, right? And I think that's a beautiful thing about the development side is they literally can. They'd probably prefer to be anywhere,
Sure.
right? Headphones on, coding away, right?
Yeah.
So, but if we do increase on the operations sales side, which are inadvertently going to have to just support some of the opportunities that are coming through the pipe, we'll need to create a larger huddle spots or more across the country. So it'll be fun.
That's fair, man. I love it. Matt, you have honestly been, I love to jam with you. It was a lot of fun just to talk and hear what you got to say and how you do it. I love even just your theories of what you do with your employees. I love that. It's just a good heart. As we close up the show today, do you have any final thoughts or any other thing going on in your head that you want to share?
Oh gosh, you don't want to open that Pandora's box, man. We'd be on this cast for the next 3.5 hours. No, I mean, I guess I should probably do a short plug, right? If you're looking for warehouse space, check out Popcapacity. If you're a warehouse and you don't know where to showcase your space digitally, check out Popcapacity. So that's it, man. I appreciate the invite on the show, dude. It's been great. You guys are awesome. Keep doing what you're doing, and yeah, man. Let's do it again sometime.
I love it. Matt, have a great day. Nate, close us out real quick. I know, obviously, e-carrier check, we go out to the market quite often and give some training. How do people get in touch with e-carrier check, and what do they do in order to get some more training?
Yeah, so check out ecarriercheck.com. We do 3 trainings a week, Monday at 6 p.m. Eastern, Tuesdays and Thursdays at 2 p.m. Eastern. Get in touch with us. We'll walk you through and try to help you grow your business, and that's our number one goal here. And again, Matt, thank you. It was really nice to meet you and hearing your story. I'm a big follower in you on LinkedIn. I love the content you put out too. So for those of you that are watching, follow him on LinkedIn. It's insane. So yeah.
I appreciate it. Guys, thanks for the opportunity and thanks for giving me some time with you guys. And yeah, let's do it again.
Awesome, Matt.
Yes,
have a great